Okay. Clear naman yung audio, guys. Kahit pa thumbs up na lang, guys, kung clear yung audio. Okay. All right. So, since this is recorded, we'll just get right to it. I posted a link for the Google collab notebook I made for tonight. Just make a copy for yourselves para may reserba kayo, and you can study it also at your own time. All right. So, with Python, there are a number of things that you need to understand, no? And one of them is collections. So, collection basically will be a container variable that stores a set of values that can be of the same or different types. No. Now, the main properties are as follows. So it's ordered, um, modifiability, and uniqueness. This is all in LMS, so you guys can go over it in LMS. So these are just the main properties of the collection. So it's the most common stuff that you're going to come across when you're dealing with Python for the most part, no? So again, it's just analytics for us. No programming per se. Okay. All right. So lists in Python, please remember this is a mutable data container, right? So what does that mean? In layman's terms, it means that anything that you put in the list can be modified after the creation of that list, right? So there will be certain functions or operators that we will cover a little later on that will allow you to do that. But a list in itself can contain a series of data types. So as you can see, it contains for what's on the screen, contains a string, integer, float, and then integers within another list within that. True for that represents your bool, and none. No. So again, that means that there's no value. So just all of this will be in the Google Colab notebook that I made with examples to it. So you can refer to it there. Now, working with lists, these are your operators that you can use to change anything within the list. So the values that you put inside the brackets, the straight brackets, are not the curly cues, the straight brackets. And anything like, let's say you have a sub bracket like this 1, 2, 3, you can change that as well with these operators. No. We will go over the Google Colab notebook that I made a little later so that you guys can see what I mean in greater detail, because I explain all of this there. This is also in LMS, so no need to worry. Now, tuples in Python, this is immutable, meaning when you guys make this, it cannot be deleted, rearranged, or you cannot add to the tuple, no? And this will be characterized with the regular open and close parenthesis. Now, what does it mean? Tuple elements can also be accessed by index. That means the hierarchy of the or the order of the values within the brackets, no, or the parentheses in this case. So A will be index 0, 17 will be index 1, 35.77 index 2, so on and so forth. No? Tuloy-tuloy lang yan. But because it is Python follows indexing, right? It will start from 0, no? Not 1, but 0. And you have to keep that in mind. Now, sets. This is a mutable container, meaning you can change the elements or the values inside. Now, what sets apart is one, it's denominated by the curly Q bracket, and two, only immutable data types can be added to a set, meaning your strings, integers, bool, and none. All right. And these are the main operators that you can use to modify the values that you have within the curly Q brackets. Now, your dictionaries. This is key value pairs. All right. So you will have the colon dividing the values. Format is written as you see it on the slide. So denominated by the curly Q bracket. So it's kind of like your CTE of sorts. It follows the same formatting, but you have to make sure that all the values are in pairs. So your strings are in double quotation marks. Integers will be left written as is. Okay. So please note that after the colon, there is a space before the next value. Okay, that is the formatting. You can possibly get a syntax error if you do not follow the proper spacing. Okay, and two, it is going to be harder to read. Okay, especially when you have a really long kasi esto, script that you have in one cell in your notebook. Okay. Another thing, also just keep in mind, the dictionary value can be any Python data type. No, so you're not restricted, unlike sets where it can only be immutable. With dictionaries, it's whatever you can, whatever you want to add into it. So these are your operators with working with dictionaries. So you have your brackets, get, pop, clear, and update. Okay. Again, the Google Notebook will have examples of this that we will go over a little later. Now, comparing your collections, you might want to take a screenshot of this. I will stay on this slide for a bit so to give you guys time to do that. So first column is your data structure on the very left. So this is your list, tuple, set, and your dictionary. Ordered, meaning it has to follow a particular order. So for lists and tuples, yes. For sets and dictionaries, no. Meaning sets and dictionaries can be in any particular order, right? Mutability, lists, sets, and dictionaries, yes. Tuples, no. And your constructor, meaning the type of brackets that you use or enclosure for the values. So for lists, it will be just a standard straight bracket. For tuples, it will be the open close parenthesis. Sets and dictionaries follow the curly cues. Okay. However, there are ors to this, no? So if you want to do the operator first, like list, tuple, set, or dict for dictionary, you will automatically follow just using the open and close parenthesis. Automatic yan. Okay? So I know it's a lot to remember, but that's why I'm telling you guys to create your cheat sheets for things like this so that you can refer to it if you can't really remember what to use, right? Or you can just go ahead and create your scripts accordingly because Python will tell you what line you'll have a mistake in, okay? So that you can fix it. So the for loop, um, this particular type of action is rooted in programming, no? So it will basically automate itself until um, the objective is met. So whatever your instructions is, if there is an end game to it, and once that condition is met, then the loop will stop. But uh, take note that you can create a for loop that can possibly loop on itself. And again, just to remind you guys, like what I mentioned last night, if that happens, the series of commands or the loop will continually run and it can potentially crash your system because that's going to eat up all of your RAM and your space. Okay, because you have to remember that um, all of the information is cached onto your system. So, like let's say with Google Collaboratory, that's going to be cached in the um, browser. Okay, so alam naman natin that when the browsers are open, they eat up a lot of memory. Question so far, guys? Wala pa naman. Sorry if I'm going a little quick. I want to tackle kasi the collab notebook that I plastered in the chat. Because that has more examples for all of the slides that I'm talking about. Mamaya na tayo mag-break. All right, so we'll move on to working with strings. So there are several ways of specifying a string in Python. What is on the slide is just a few of them. So you have your single quotation, double quotation, multiple single quotation, and multiple double quotation. Okay. So as long as you enclose a string in quotation marks, whether it be single or double, Python will automatically um, consider that a string and treat it as that data type. All right. So if you guys are using other operators that can conflict with that data type, meaning that it does not work with that with the string data type, you will be receiving an error. And what's nice lang kasi about Python is it will tell you where it is exactly. So not like with SQL that it's a bit of a guessing game. If you're not really used to SQL and depending on the platform, with Python, it's very straightforward. Pag may mali ka, sasabihin niya sa'yo. Okay? Also, the backslash symbol escapes the string for the most part. Okay. Again, this is all in LMS. So these are your operators. So access by index, which is your bracket, upper lower strip, find, split, join, and replace. Okay. So let us say that you are doing your data cleaning in Python instead of another platform because it's specified on the task list, or sinabi sa inyo na it has to be done or it can only be done in Python, then you are going to be using these operators to be able to work with string data types. Now, formatting strings. The two main ways are fstring and the format method. So you have an example on the lower part of the slide. So name equals John, age equals 30. So for the f string, that will be the first line. So print f hello name. You are age years old. Okay, so when that prints, it will be hello John, you are 30 years old. Period. Okay, so that's one way to add a variable to the string. Another will be the second line, wherein you're using the curly cues and then adding format at the end, specifying name and age. When you do it in that order, so for format or the format method, order is very important, right? So instead of indicating name and age inside the curly Q brackets, you're doing it at the end, but still within the open and close parenthesis for the print command. All right. So you guys see the difference? Now, the format method has another version, right? Wherein you are specifying the data type before the value. Okay. So string underscore name, string underscore age. However, you will still need to include the dot format at the end and defining that, for example, str underscore name equals name. So we define the values on top, which is name equals John, and str underscore age equals age, again, defining age as 30. Okay. So if you guys want to try this out on Google Colab as we go ahead, just so that you can see what will happen. Okay. You can run multiple print commands in one cell because it will print in three consecutive lines underneath the code cell within the notebook. Who needs a little more time because they're following along? Wale? Okay. I'll move on. Huh? All right. So functions. Um, these are basically fragments of a program that can be used multiple times over. Okay. And you can call on it as much as you want. If you're working on like a really long um, code within one particular cell. So on the bottom part, defining say underscore hello, which will be print hello world. Okay. So whenever you see a hashtag, that's a comment, right? It's not going to be executed as part of the script. So in SQL, it's like your double dash. Okay. And then it excludes that line of code from the script, or in this case, from the script here in Python. So anytime that you want to be able to use say hello, because we already defined it as print hello world, then you can call it at any time or use it in however which way you want to use it within the script that you're using. Or let's say you're doing a series of cells in the same notebook, and you define say hello at, let's say, the third cell from the top, and you're like 10 cells down, and you want to call the function, you'll be able to do that as well. Okay. Now, um, function arguments, these are going to be parameters that are passed on to the function in order for it to do something with them. So these are your examples. So each of the lines is um, its own code for the most part. Okay. So anytime you see def, that means that you are defining what comes after it with the values inside the open and close parenthesis. Okay. So again, this is all in LMS. Now, returning a function result. Okay. Like what it says here, you must specify what you want to return after the return keyword. All right. So the first set, or the first screenshot, defines your function, no? Or yeah, it's all about the definition of your values. And the second will be defining the result, right? So in what this basically does is it shortens your um typing time, right? Because you already defined it, you don't need to repeat the definition. Okay. So you defined sum equals a plus b, and a plus b is defined as some numbers. Now, you want to be able to call on the result. So you'll type in result equals some numbers 2 and 3, right? So this is your integers are now replacing your a and b. And when you print the result, you'll come out with number 5, because it is going to add the two numbers in the order that you place it in the parentheses. Clear so far, guys? Questions? Violent reactions? Wale? Alrighty. Let's move on. Okay, lambda functions. This is a special type of function that I have not really used as much in Python with my experience thus far. But what it is functions whose essence can be called by passing it arguments, but the function itself is very simple and can be described in a single expression. No, so you will notice that you're gonna have your colon here, and that is what is going to define um, your argument. So this is what is going to complete the syntax for lambda. Okay. Um, I wouldn't say that it's rare that you would have to do this or use this particular function. However, it's good to know because especially if you are going to um, expand your skill set beyond analytics and you're using Python as a stepping stone, you will need to be quite familiar with all of the functions and operators that we are going to be covering for this particular block. Question so far, guys? Wala pa naman? Okay. That is actually the whole slide. So you notice that I breezed through it, right? Again, because it's one, all in LMS, and two, this is the Google Colab notebook that I made, and I added all of the stuff that I felt needed a little more explanation, no? And it will do you guys a lot better to see examples of it. Okay. So we actually might end a little early tonight, but before I forget, um there are how many here? Three of you that are already in auto check task 7 of 11 for topic 1, and a few others that are not in the live session tonight that have messaged me that they are experiencing an issue. And this is an issue that I'm aware of because I do have access to the auto check in my LMS, and I spent the better of about 2 hours this morning trying to troubleshoot it. So there is a known issue with all of the data I've collected so far from the screenshots that you guys have been sending me. Thank you very much for doing so. Until we're able to fix it, because I've already raised this to the LMS team. Um, keep sending in the screenshots because they need all of the screenshots from you guys that you can um, collect. So what will the screenshot look like? It's basically the whole browser page of LMS for task 7. All right. So um, within the editor, kinumpleto niyo na yung script na kailangan yung kompletuhin based on the task, right? So you can close the theory part but leave the task part open so that they can see na the error message is specific to the message part of the code that you're trying, or the script that you're trying to run. And dun sa 2 hours na ginawa ko kanina running scenarios, lahat na ng variation ginawa ko na maisip kong logical to apply to the script. Because I do have BPO experience, so scripts like that were a very common thing for us. Um, wala, hindi talaga pumasok, hindi talaga siya nag-verify that even though the code is running, but because there is something within LMS for that task that is not verifying that the message part is correct. So the LMS team has to look at the value that they're expecting that's been input into LMS para malaman natin kung ano yung mali natin or ano yung specific na hinahanap. Okay? So either one of two things will happen. They will be able to fix it, right? So that you guys can rerun the task without any problems and then move on to task 8 of 11. Or they might not be able to fix it because there is a bug that they'll have to do a deep dive to catch or to fix. And because of that, they will provide me with the expected value, and I will be giving you guys that expected value. I'll post it on Slack in my channel. But either way, I will be releasing a post on my channel specifically about this. So please keep your eyes peeled out for that. And this ties into what I keep reminding you guys to do na always check the updates, right? Most especially from me. Kasi it's progression of homework. And that's one of the kumbaga para sa inyong mga students, that's your biggest metric, right? To be able to complete the course. Okay? Are we clear, guys, about that? Alrighty. Coolio. So with that, um, let us actually take the break well, not really quick. We can actually have a fairly long break because we're only 33 minutes in. So how about we come back at 850. Okay? And we'll go over the Jupyter notebook that the Google Colab notebook that I created, and we'll go over it one by one. Okay? Para it's clear for you guys. So I'll see you guys back here at 850. Okay? Okay. Alrighty. All right, everybody back? Okay, so I will assume that you are all back. Um, by this time, you guys should have already made a copy for yourselves for the um, Google Colab notebook that I made. So we'll go through it one by one. All right. Okay, so the first set here, and how you're going to read this is every time that I added a text box, the cells underneath that are all for that text box. Okay, so this first set will be your mutable. So again, like stated kanina, a mutable object is an object whose state can be modified after it is created. So this means that you can change the value of a mutable object without creating a new object. So that's the key phrase there. Without creating a new object. Okay, that is the difference between mutable and immutable. Okay, so you're gonna see three code cells here. The first is for lists, and you can modify a list by adding, removing, or changing the element. So the first line of the code here will be my list equals 1, 2, 3. So the values 1, 2, and saan po yung link? It's on top, Ernesto. Wait lang. There. So that's the link to the notebook. I have ownership of it. Just kindly create a copy for yourselves so that you guys can edit it or modify it so that you can add the print function if you want and see how it's going to behave. So, anyways, like what I was saying, so my list will be defined as containing numbers 1, 2, and 3. But because a list is a mutable um, object, function, or operator, you can actually add to the list. Now, how you would read the second line will be my list 0 equals 4. All right. So what this does is because remember, indexing is a thing in Python, as is SQL. Actually, SQL is also indexed. The 0 within the brackets that is to the left of the equal sign will be the place within the list right above it. So the first line here, um, where the 4 is going to be added, right? So it's actually going to come out as 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Ganun yung mangyayari. Kasi remember, index 0 is your 1. And index 1 is 2. Index 3 is, I mean, index 2 is 3. Okay? So that is your list. So for dictionaries, also being mutable, You can add, remove, or change key value pairs in a dictionary. So defining my dict as name is to Alice and age is to 25. So if you'd like to change, like for example, in the second line, age, you're going to do my dict age equals 26. So we first had defined the age as 25, but because we created and ran the second line, we're changing the 25 to 26. Okay, so like let's say if you wanted to change name, just replace age with name and replace Alice with a new name. So again, just remember, as long as it's a string, it's got to be enclosed in quotation marks, single or double, it doesn't matter. Okay, clear so far, guys? Alrighty. So sets. Again, this is mutable and unordered, meaning you can add values to in any which order. You can also indicate the values within the definition of the set in any particular order. Okay. So we define the set with the curly Q brackets indicating 1, 2, and 3 being the values within this particular set. And if we want to add to it, then you do my set dot add, indicate the value that you want to add to the set right above it, and it will add the element to the set. Okay. It's fairly simple. This is all very basic Python. Alrighty. So immutable objects. So if your mutable can be modified after it's created, immutable cannot be modified after it is created. All right. So key phrase here is if you want to change immutable objects, you have to create a new object in its place. All right. So for example, one of them is your integers, right? So once an integer is defined, its value cannot be changed. So for example, if x equals 2, you can't make x point to a different integer without creating a new integer object, which is what the second line is. So x equals 3, right? So when you do create a new object, it overwrites the old object that it's replacing. So you have to keep that in mind, guys. All right. You will also have your strings, again, also immutable. And once a string is defined, its characters cannot be changed. And if you try to change a character in a string, Python will raise a type error. So this is a common error that you're going to get. And um, the type error will look like this. Okay. So string object does not support item assignment, right? So what you're trying to do here is because you want to change hello to J, S will now be S0 with the bracket because you have to create a new object to be able to replace the initial, which is your S. Okay. And the same thing with your tuples, right? And you're going to get the same type error, but it's just going to change. No, so instead of string, it's just going to say tuple. Okay, so the same logic applies. If your initial tuple, which is represented by a T, is equal to 1, 2, 3, and you want to change that to 4, you'll have to create tuple 0 to be able to change that. Okay. Now, this is the part where I outline working with lists. No, here. So these are your operators, and we'll go through them one by one. So access index bracket. This operation is used to access an element in the list at a specific index, right? So again, your brackets and the index that you want to change. So again, 0 is going to be A, B is going to be 1, C is going to be 2. Okay. So let's say within your list, you only want to print A. So you're going to do print my list, index the space that you want to just print, then it's just going to print A. However, if you want to uh, print the whole list, then you're going to remove the two brackets and the 0 and just do print my list. And that will print A, B, and C here in the bottom. Okay. So append is another operation that you can do. And this adds an element to the end of the list. Okay. So let us say that your list again is defined as A, B, and C, but you forgot to add the D and you want to be able to add it. The way to do that is my list dot append and then add the value that you want to include. So because D is a string, enclosing it in quotation marks. Whatever the quotation mark is or used rather inside the initial definition of your first list has to be the exact same one that you use in the append. Okay. If not, Python can potentially give you a error message. Right? You can experiment with that. So after running this, you see here in the comment, you will now have A, B, C, and D as your list. So if you decide to do print my list and run it, takes a bit of a while, anytime now. There you go. A, B, C, and D. Why did it take a little longer than it should have? Because it created the list with the values that you initially defined, but then you also in the same cell appended it, right? So you added more information to that list. That's why it took a little longer. Plus, we have comments and it has to sift through the comments and look for the pound sign. When it sees the pound sign, anything after that, it's not going to be included within that line. Okay. That's why you notice that if I'm doing multiple lines of comments, or if you guys will notice that you're doing multiple lines of comments, and each line, you want it all readable within the initial space, so you don't have scroll bars. No. Um, on the horizontal axis, you will do multiple pound signs for each line. So, anyways, That's why it took a little longer. But that is how it's going to look like when you print the values within your list. Okay. Now, extend is another operator, or you can also use the plus sign, right? So these operations are used to add multiple elements to a list. And extend takes um, an iterable, so like a list or a tuple, and plus is used to uh, concat two lists together. So the concat using the plus sign, anybody that's on task 7 is already familiar with this because you have to concat the first name and the last name with the values that were initially provided for within the editor when you start the task, right? So again, defining your list A, B, C, A, B, and C, and then extend using extend. You want to add D and E. So when you print this, maglalagay ka ng print dito sa baba, it's going to now print A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. Now, let's say you want to use the plus sign, no? So my list equals your initial A, B, and C plus D and E kasi ayaw mong gamitin yung dot extend. And when you print this line, in particular, it's now going to print also A, B, C, D, and E. Now, for those astute ones, you may notice that when I highlighted A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, D, and E, rather, any occurrence of this particular sequence will be also highlighted within the same cell. So if you want to make any sort of changes, you'll be able to do so. Or it will be easier to track which line has the same values para mas mabilis yung pag-edit ninyo ng script if need be. So moving on, you now have clear and pop. Clear removes all the elements from the list, and pop removes just one element at a specific index and returns it. So if no index is specified, pop removes and returns the last element. Okay? So for clear, let's say you wanted to clear the list, it will print just the bracket. Kasi clear natin yung A, B, C, and yung A, B, and C. Now, let's say you want to do pop, right? You index 1, like in this example. So again, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. So dahil ginawa mong mylist.pop1, it's only going to return B when you print it. And now the list, it will return B. So when you print it, it will just be A and C. So inserts an element at a specific position in the list. So you will need to define what index it's going to be inserted in and what value you are inserting. Okay, so that is what your position and element syntaxes represent. Right. So position will be your index, element will be your value. Right. So when you print this, after you had included the dot insert in the next line, it's now going to print A, D, B, and C. Kasi nilagay mo sa index 1 yung value ng D. So urong si B, and because A is 0, D will be 1, B will now be 2, C will become 3. Okay? Now, you will also have index and count. So index returns the index of the first occurrence of an element or a value, and count returns the number of times an element appears in the list. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward. You can run this individually, but it is most commonly run, as a pair. Okay, so normally when you will run dot index, the immediate line after that will always be your dot count, so that you know what index it is and now how many times it appears in the list. So your list here is defined as A, B, C, B. So we have B occurring 2 times in indexes 1 and 3. Okay. But because index is going to return the first occurrence, it is going to come out in index 1. And because it appears 2 times in the list, it will print 2 when you do the print for count. Okay. Fairly clear, guys? You guys are still able to follow? And thumbs up or drop something in the chat. Clear so far? Cool. Thank you. See, this is why I'm telling you guys, Python's actually ridiculously simpler than SQL. Uh, to a certain extent, I do prefer Python over SQL, but for specific uses, not like being my go-to platform. Okay. So that ends your working with lists. These are your common operators. When you work with lists, again, this is also in LMS, but it might be a little clearer if you have additional material just citing the examples of how it's going to be typed out when you actually put it in a notebook. So we will move over now to working with dictionaries. No? So these are the operations that you can perform with dictionaries in Python. And they're not that much. They're only 4. So the first one is accessing an item and setting the value with your brackets. Okay. So you define my dick as name is to Alice, age is to 25. So you just want to be able to print the name, right? So this is your indexing. So print my dick name, and when you print just this, what will happen is Alice is the only thing that's going to come out here in the bottom. Okay? Kasi you index specifically for the name. If you want the age, you just type in age here, and it will return 25. Set. Yes. Company preference will always dictate what platforms you guys are going to be predominantly using, right? But SQL has its own uses, Python has its own uses. Rarely are you going to find a company setup where it will favor one over the other. It is normally used in collaboration with each other. So that also goes for your Excel, some sort of business intelligence platform if they use one, if at all. If not, then you know that they're pretty primitive, that they'll either rely on charts or pivot charts that you can create in Excel or Sheets, and or the charts that you will have or be learning to use with Python. Okay? Kasi wala naman tayong magagawang visualization with SQL, right? Not unless you think of visualizations along the lines of creating tables, because that's really what SQL does. It creates tables. So I hope that answered your question. So anyways, going back. Okay daw. So again, if you want to print age, just replace age with, or replace name with age, and it will print 25. Now, um, for the second line, let's say you wanted to change, no, the value of the age within a dictionary. You can do that by defining the element or the value with the mydic left of the equal sign, and then the value or the element that you want to replace your existing element with right of the equal sign. So initially we had set it to 25, but because we want to make the change, and we set the new value or the new element to 26, when you print my dick, it will now appear as name is to Alice, age is to 26. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward. Now, forget, um, this method returns the value for a key if it exists within the dictionary. Okay, if the key does not exist, it returns none. So that's very important to take into consideration. All right. So again, the my dictionary is defined as name is to Alice, age is to 25, and let's say we wanted to get just the name and print that, no? So print my dictionary.get name, and it will just print Alice. But let's say, just for the sake of it, that you also wanted to get the address, but the address was never defined within my dictionary, right? So when you do my dictionary.get and specify address, because it doesn't exist within the dictionary, it's going to return none. And that's what's going to appear down here. Okay. Now, with pop, you also have clear. Pop removes the item with a specific key and returns its value. And if the key does not exist, it raises a key error. Okay. And let me just drop this down. Nah, there. Makes it a little clear. Okay. Now, clear removes all the items from the dictionary. Okay. So it's fairly simple. You'll notice a sense of repetition with some of the operators. Nagbabago-bago lang yan with what is defined. So my dictionary, my list, so on and so forth. Okay. So let's say that you want to remove the item na age from the dictionary. So you do my dictionary.pop and specify that you want to remove age. So your dictionary will now just be name is to Alice. Okay. And if you want to clear out all the values within this particular dictionary, you just do dot clear or my dictionary dot clear. Yeah. And it will return just the curly cues. Now, let us say that you want to update, okay, um, your dictionary. You will use update as the operator to be able to do that. So this method updates the dictionary with key value pairs from another dictionary. Okay, just keep that in mind. So if a key already exists in the original dictionary, its value is updated and the new keys are added, right? So again, defining my dictionary as name is to Alice, age is to 25, but that we wanted to do update. So we'll do my dictionary dot update, age is to 26, address is to 123 Main Street. So the dictionary now, after running my dictionary update, the dictionary now is going to be complete with your name, age, and address. Okay. So now you can go back here and you'll now be able to print the get operator. And it will not return none because now you have modified the dictionary with your update to include the address. Okay. So that's working with your dictionary. This is more commonly used for um, data prep and data cleaning, if at all. If you're using Python specifically for that, I would suggest using SQL, though it's actually a lot quicker. You know, um, and if you're doing really large data sets, SQL is much better to use than Python, right? Because your RAM and your disk here um, is going to get eaten up very, very quickly. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But like, let's say you are working for a company, they'll tell you what they want used, right? So you don't have to guess. You don't have to try to assume or what may have you. Hindi nyo kailangan magpa-bibukid pagkadating sa ganung bagay. Right? Usually, sasabihin naman nila yan sa'yo. Same thing goes for clients if they know what they want, if you're doing freelance work. But if they don't know what they want, yung medyo syunga-syunga sila, yun, you're going to have to put on your Bibo pants, eat a bit of the Bibo hot dog, and do your thing and help them out. Okay, because that is part of what they're paying you for. But that's a rare case. If that happens, if at all. So the for loop in Python is used for iterating over a sequence. No, so this is either a list, a tuple, a dictionary, a set, or a string, or other iterable objects. Iterating over a sequence is called traversal. Okay. Um, Again, not as common in analytics as much as it's more common in programming. Okay, but again, good to know. So here is the example for the loop. So this first line defines the body for the loop. Val is the variable here for the first line. that takes the value of the item inside the sequence in each iteration. So that's defined as your numbers. Okay. And the body of the loop, or the body for loop, is intended, and it's the code that is executed for each iteration. So again, here's an example of how that's going to look like. So because we defined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we print number or num, because that's how it was defined in the body of the loop, it is going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's going to occupy one line per number. Hindi siya lalabas na ganito magkakasunod-sunod in a sequence na one line lang to. So it's going to occupy one line each when it's printed. Okay? And that is your for loop. Now, string operations in Python. This is not that much. It's about 6. No? So again, you'll have your indexing. So that's your brackets. So string is represented by S equals hello. So when you print S 0, so a string like this will be indexed H as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 being the O, 0 being the H. So when you type out this code, it will only print the H from hello. But if you remove your bracket plus the 0 and just added S inside the parenthesis, it's going to print the entire word hello. Okay? So let's say you change the number to 1, it's going to print E. Change the number to 2 or 3, it's going to print either L. And again, 4 if you want to print just the O at the end. Now, your upper, lower, and strip. Okay. So these are used to convert a string to uppercase, lowercase, and remove the leading or trailing white space, respectively. So yan yung strip mo. Okay. So if you notice, upper and lower, when printed, because we defined the string as having a space between the H and the first quotation mark and the D and the last quotation mark, when you print upper or lower, so upper will make it all caps, lower will make it all lower cap, and strip will remove this space here. Yan. Itong space na yan, and itong space na to. Yan yung tatanggalin ni strip. Okay? So it will print hello world with no spaces on either end. Okay? So you would use, or you would format this as s.upper, s.lower, s.strip. Don't forget your open close parentheses at the end to complete the syntax. Alrighty. So here is your find. Okay. So you will use find when you want to return the index of the first occurrence of a substring. And if the substring is not found, it returns a -1. Optionally, start and end can be used to specify a range in which to search. Okay. So string is defined as hello with no white spaces. So let's say that you only want to print the E from hello, or rather find the index of E in hello. And when you print it, s dot find and specifying E, it will tell you that it is indexed in number one. If you want to find the L between indexes 2 and 4, it will print 2. Kasi the first occurrence, right? So if E is 1, the first L will be 2. And let's say you want to find the index for A, pero wala naman A sa hello, di ba? So it will print your negative 1. So this is fairly important when you're doing your data prep and your data cleaning. For the most part, that's where you'd normally use something like find. Okay. So for split, splits a string into a list of substrings based on the delimiter. Right? So let us say that the delimiter is the space. No? So if you leave a space in between your quotation marks, that will reflect this space here with how you defined your string prior to the print. So if you do s dot split and indicate that your delimiter is the space, when you print it, it's going to print hello, comma, world. Okay? Because it's going to split that particular element or that particular string into its individual elements or values. Alrighty? Now, join naman is for your concat. So it will concat a list of strings into one string using a delimiter. So let's say that you defined words as hello and world. So you'll print the space, which is going to be this part, no? Dot join, and you're specifically asking to join words, no? It will now print hello world as we had defined it here in the previous set. Kasi nag-join tayo. So you can't really compare this to SQL, although the logic is the same. How you would go about joining lang whatever you're working on or whatever you want to join will just differ from platform to platform. And lastly, replace. So let us say that you want to be able to replace all the occurrences of a substring with another substring, then you're going to use replace. So you have to first define your string. So in this case, it's hello world again. And let's say that we want to replace world with Python. So you are going to do print s.replace what is originally or what you want to replace and what you want to replace with. That's how you read the syntax of this. And it will print hello Python instead of hello world when you go ahead and run this. So let's see how long it will run. Oh, not that long. Kasi we did definition and then we went straight to a print. But because the script is fairly simple, it didn't take that much time at all. Okay, so this is um, less than a millisecond for it to run this. So see, it's hello Python, same as the comment on the last line. Clear so far, guys? Questions, if any? You're still able to follow pa naman? Okay. Good job. So, formatting strings. So, there are two main um, methods of doing this, and each is outlined in its own code cell. So, first will be your F string, and second will be your format. Okay. So, you notice that there's some sort of similarity to it, as we had discussed with the previous material on the top portion of the notebook. We're actually coming to the end already. So just a brief background, this is what the first line for F string is. So with F strings, expressions to be evaluated are embedded in curly brackets or braces or curly Q braces directly within the string itself. And variables can be referenced directly in an F string. So we define name as Alice, age is 25, print F, because we're using an F string. Hello, my name is name. And I'm age, no, years old. So when you print this, it's going to come out like this. Hello, my name is Alice and I am 25 years old. Okay, so it's the same thing as homework 7. Or rather, task 7 of the auto check for topic 1. And then the format method, it's relatively the same. You're going to leave the curly brackets empty after defining your elements with their respective values. And then just adding dot format at the end, specifying the order that you want everything printed. Okay, so again, you're seeing some overlap with commonality of these um, formatting methods. No, so format, name, and age. So it will print exactly the same as your F string. However, your script becomes actually longer because you're adding format and name age compared to just adding F, going straight for name and straight for age. Okay. So however you want to write it when you're dealing with strings in terms of formatting is entirely up to you if you're working freelance without any special instructions. Or if you're working for a company, they will tell you to follow a specific format 9 times out of 10. Okay. So you just have to follow that format. I don't suggest you question what they use. However, if it looks like it's not as logical and it's not as efficient, um, you guys can always raise your concern with your immediate supervisor if that's going to be the case. All right, to suggest a change, um, back it up with your proposed change to what you propose to change it to. and why you're proposing the change. Okay. So that would be an ideal way of presenting any idea of change if you determine that it's not as logical or as efficient as it can be. But be very careful when you do that because um, some companies may not be open to it as much as others. If it's already a well established company, like let's say a Fortune 1000, Fortune 500, negligible yung mga ganyan. No? So like let's say Google or what may have you, negligible. But let's say you end up with a startup company, right? So still building everything from the ground up. Things like that will be much appreciated as long as the owners or management is open to it. Okay, so that's when you can kind of flex yourself a little bit and wear your Bibo pants. Okay, so those are your two main methods. Again, the F string and the format method. And lastly, lambda functions. So this is a small anonymous function and can take any number of arguments, but can only have one expression, right? So the normal syntax of this will be as such, lambda arguments is to expression, okay? That is your normal syntax for it, or the only syntax for it. So here's an example of a lambda function that's adding two numbers. So you're defining add as lambda xy is to x plus y. Okay. So this is your argument. This is your expression. So when you go ahead and print add, because that is what we defined, and you replace x with 5 and 3 for y, or y for 3, when you print this, it will come out with just the number 8. Kasi you defined your argument as being x and y, but your expression is x plus y. So because you replace the x and y with their respective integers, that's what's going to come up. Okay. So in this example, x and y are the arguments and x plus y is the expression that gets evaluated and returned. So exactly what I said. Now, lambda functions can be used whenever function objects are required. They are restricted to a single expression, syntax-wise, and they are often used in conjunction with typical function concepts like filter, map, reduce. So here's an example, which is this. So your numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That is what defines numbers. So you're asking for defining or the definition for even numbers. So that will be list, filter, lambda, x is to x, percent 2, just forgetting what the percent represents off the top of my head. 2 equals 0 numbers. So when you print even numbers, because you defined it in this manner, it will only print 246. Sorry, equals to zero, zero being your index within numbers. No? So it will start with 2 and it will count all of the even numbers within the set or the list rather. List. So in this example, the lambda function is lambda x is to x% 2 equals to 0, which checks if a number is even. The filter function here applies this lambda function to each element of the number, or rather of the numbers list, and returns a new list with only the elements for which the lambda function returns as true. So isa-isahin niya yan. So if we run this, 246. Okay? Exactly as this. Right? So that's your lambda function in a nutshell. Now, this is a starting point reference for you in terms of understanding the intricacies of Python and how it's going to help you in analytics. And with that, this ties into what I mentioned last night na because there is such a broad community for Python and the resources are astronomical in the world of IT, it's very easy to do further research on anything and everything that's in this particular notebook or the guide material that is in LMS if you need further context um, or information about it. Okay, it is a very quick Google search away, right? So again, this is just to start you off and giving you detailed instructions or detailed notes on how it's used, examples of its usage, and a brief description of what it is. Okay, so that is it. That's the end of the notebook that I made for you guys. So hopefully you guys already have a copy of it, that you were able to create it. If you'd like to modify anything that I've written in it to add your own notes via the double clicking on the text field to add more text, or just clicking within the code cell, have at it. That's your copy. Okay. Any questions, guys? Clarifications, violent reactions? Clear naman. I know it was rather quick how we went through it, but um you guys will be able to put this more to practice with the auto check tasks in LMS once we get that infernal task 7 of 11 done, figured out in topic 1. Okay, so do your best to complete whatever you can complete. So that will be task 1 through 6 of 11 under topic 1. But in the meantime, because we're already discussing topic 2 tonight, you can actually proceed with the auto check for topic 2 as well, if you'd like to do that. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to be stuck with the auto check for topic 1. LMS should allow you to be able to proceed with topic 2 and do the auto checks there. Now, This goes to all the attendees tonight and to everybody else that's going to be watching this particular recording. I will ask you to do the same thing. Be vigilant with any sort of bugs or anomalies that you will find with the auto checking system within LMS for topic 2. Because we already know that task 7 of 11 in topic 1 has a bug. We're not sure if or an anomaly. We're not sure if tasks 8 to 11 in topic 1 contain the same problems or similar problems, but we will find out once we get topic 7 or task 7 rather sorted out. Okay, so for topic 2, just be vigilant if you come across um an auto check task within topic 2 that is not allowing you to progress, and you've run or done multiple iterations of the code, even like let's say with spot check or a one-on-one with me and it's still not pushing through, please send me the screenshot of the complete page of LMS. So just screenshot your whole screen, okay? And send me that screenshot containing the complete code or script in the editor and the error message that you're getting plus the task that you are trying to complete. Okay. Why am I asking for the whole screen? Because that gives the LMS team the information that they need to see who is affected by this particular bug or anomaly if we come across one. Okay. So that is it. I thought we would be ending early, but we ate up the time for the or with the collab notebook. But uh, hopefully everything is clear. Clear naman guys. No other questions that you guys have for topic 2 specifically or anything that we covered for topic 1 last night. Wale, you good? Alrighty. So with that, that is it, Pansit, for tonight. So two things. Just watch out for the announcement from Rhea about the next live session next week. Topic 3. There's no homework for topic 3, guys. There's no auto check for topic 3. So that's a free night for you to guys to catch up on previous blocks if you have anything pending for the previous blocks as well. And homeworks will begin with topic 4 that you will submit in LMS to me. Okay. So again, if your device does not have space for Anaconda, please just use Google Collaboratory. Okay. You already have a notebook to start out with. You can just create a new notebook for that homework. Fix the share settings to anyone that has the link and editor for myself so that if I need to make any particular edits, I can make it. And Google Collaboratory autosaves all of your progress as you go. So you don't need to think about saving anything or what may have you. Just please make sure that you rename the top of the notebook, which can be renamed. Just hover your mouse over it and then uh, left click into it. You'll see the typing cursor and you can change it. Just leave the .ipynb as is and change everything to the left of the period. Okay? That's the only thing you have to do when you're renaming your notebook. And then the link for that collaboratory notebook is what you send in LMS to me. All right? So that is it, Pansit. Thank you for spending 2 straight nights with me. Hopefully Christine will be okay by next week so she can take over topics 3 and 4. All right. So on that note, thank you very much, guys, and good night. Babu.